Just about 1 year ago, I released my first Minelife Season 3 episode, and it was actually about an Easter event where I like hit a bunch of Easter eggs all around the server, which you, by the way, still can find to this day. There's still some yet to be found, but I thought, maybe I could do it again this year, but introduce a twist. So this year I'm actually not only going to hide eggs, but also introduce everyone's favorite activity, gambling. That's right. Such a stupid idea. The basic idea being that I will hide the Easter eggs all across the server. Other people will find them and bring them to some sort of redstone machine. If they then put them in, they might get a prize or maybe not. And that's the entire idea. As you can see, it looks incredibly ugly right here, and there's nothing built yet except for some old ruins of our iron farm, which now has been moved to over here, and also some... I don't know what that is. Okay, there's a lot of random stuff, so I'm probably going to just terraform over this, since I also want to raise this area a bit, and I actually think I should probably start with that. And since I basically just spent the entire last episode just terraforming, I think I'm just gonna do it in a quick time lapse. Roughly 1 hour later, and I'm not close to finished yet, but I really like how it's coming together. Obviously, this is enough for today. I don't really need that much of space, but I also sometime want to finish this. And it's actually really coming together. So this is all the stuff I built last episode, and then there's like what I built this episode until now. In today's episode, I now want to build the build, at least partially, and you won't believe what I still have stored away from, like, blowing up the half of the shopping district right here. It's actually all of the shops that I built and then removed and never rebuilt. There's, like, all in, like, shulker boxes, and amongst them is also the Easter Bunny from last year. So I'm definitely going to rebuild that as part of today's build, and then also, obviously, at the gambling machine. And even though it's not that large, it's still like one of my favorite builds I've ever done. I don't know, something about that. I still don't know how I managed to build the bunny. So anyway, obviously this is not all we're going to do today. But before I like continue building, I think first up I want to like figure out the Easter eggs, because I probably don't want to reuse the ones from last year, because I kind of like them still being hidden around. So I'm gonna figure out if they are different colors or if I can use like different hats. And if not, yeah, I'm just gonna reuse the old ones. Luckily for me, I actually found 3 new good looking Easter egg player hats. I think the website is called minecrafthats.com. The individual links and the link to the data pack to get the player hats are all in the video description. Go check them out. And then I just had to put the skin onto my second account and farm the hats. Okay, and I've actually got 9 stacks of eggs. I'm not gonna use all of them because some of them need to go in some item filter, so I know that it's actually that item. And as you can see, they're all still named Cram and 2's hat. Yeah, that's a bit weird, so I want to rename them. And we actually have a new mod on the server, which allows you to, first off, rename player heads. That's nothing new, you could do that in vanilla before. But when you would place them, as you can see, this one's renamed, and then break them again, the head would lose its name, whereas now it's gonna stay. Okay, next up is the prizes, and I actually already filled all of them into shulker boxes, because if everything goes according to plan, which it usually doesn't, this video is supposed to release on the day the event starts. So yeah, I actually already filled all of them. There's some pretty neat stuff in here, but I'm not gonna show it, obviously. What I am gonna show though is the next step, which is building the redstone machine. And this is actually going to be a pretty long explanation, so I've actually for once put chapters into the video. So if you're not really into math or redstone or something like that, you can easily skip it down below. Okay, as you can see, I've already completed the designing process, but I always feel like it's better if you actually kind of explain what's going on, so I'm gonna try that, because this looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. So the entire system is basically just split up in 3 parts. You can see them all color-coded right here. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You have an input, And connected to that is in cyan right here, it's the filtering system. So as you can see, we have our 3 types of eggs right here. Obviously I don't have the player heads in my single player world, so I just used these 3 egg types. And these are in our item filters right here. As you can see, there's 1 in each. And if we now input one of our eggs up here, they will get pulled from one of the hoppers, since they can go into these slots, but any other item can't. And the rest of the items, you can quickly demonstrate that using a potato. If I put that in, it will just simply get just dispensed to us. That's because it just goes on top of the item filters right here, doesn't get pulled through because obviously there's no filter for potatoes. And then it goes back in this hopper line right here and into this auto dropper. This basically just detects, oh, is there an item in here? And if yes, it just automatically dispenses it. Okay, the next part is just a spacing system. All this basically does is space out the items so our next system can keep up. Because if you put an entire stack of eggs in here, the next green circuit won't be able to keep up. And the green system, the last system, is actually just some sort of randomizers. I will explain these in a second. And if both of them like get triggered, there's our dispensing system, which dispenses the shulker boxes into our barrel. So if we put some sort of random item into here, it just gets put back into our inventory. And if we put like an egg into here, it goes through the system, and as you can see, we sadly weren't lucky this time. Now as for the randomizers, because that's actually the interesting part. So this is basically just the entire randomizer that's built into there. It's really simple. The way this works is by pseudo-randomizing an item that is being like dropped out of this dropper. We now have 9 items in here. There's actually only supposed to be 8. And then it's a chance of 1 in 8 that each of these items will get pulled. So there's a chance of 1 in 8 this one will get pulled. A chance of 1 in 8 this one will get pulled. And as you can see, most of them are papers and 1 is a shovel. That's because if the item gets pushed into this hopper, we can detect the signal strength that will get outputted. And since the shovel is a non-stackable item, it will output a greater signal strength than 1. So if I push this button, as you can see, only 1 lamp turned on. That's because a paper was put in here. If we now quickly take all of these out, so we'd have to wait for the chance. If the shovel gets put into there, a greater signal strength gets outputted. I think it's 3, but it's not really important. The second lamp actually turns on. So we can use that to our advantage and make a 1 in 8 randomizer. So the basic structure of this randomization can pretty much be summed up in this tree diagram. I don't know what the proper English word for this is, but it's just a literal German translation. And we like have our input right here. And as you can see, we have 8, I think it's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, it's 8. We have 8 different outcomes, and 7 of them are actually just nothing, and our 8th one is our winner. So if this gets triggered, that's our shovel in here, then it goes on to the next randomizer. You might ask yourself, why are there like 2 randomizers in succession? That's because our dropper is limited to a chance of 1 in 9. But we actually need a like smaller chance than that. We can easily calculate our chance. We have 2 1 in 8 calculators, so you can easily calculate that by doing 8 squared. And that's actually 64, which is really practical for our purposes, since we want to dispense a shulker every about 64 eggs you put in. And that means if we have now 2 of these randomizers in succession of each other, so the first one only triggers the second one if the shovel gets dispensed. If this is true, then we have a 1 in 64 chance that the second one will also win. As you can see, that's how it would look like. So we still have our first diagram right here. And if this is getting triggered, then we carry on to the second randomizer that also has a 1 in 8 chance. So you have to imagine in 63 cases it's just going to be a cold block, meaning nothing gets outputted. But in this one single case, then we get our shulker dispensed. And how this essentially looks like, is basically like this. So as you can see, we have 2 of these behind each other. And they now have a 1 in 64 chance that this lamp will turn on. I hope that wasn't too complicated. It's really not that hard. I'm just probably making it more complicated than it needs to be. So with that being said, back to survival mode Cramon. The system is complete, and I also designed a bit of a build around it so it doesn't look ugly. And yeah, it's a nice. I kind of did a spin on the rabbit thing. You'll see. Anyway, with all of that done now, I guess there's nothing in the way of me building this on the server right now. And guess what? That's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I'm finished, and that means I now actually only have to hide the Easter eggs and get the video finished in time. Which is crazy, because I might actually get it done, and I've only taken a week so far, so... yeah, it's pretty revolutionary for my channel. And yeah, not the greatest build, obviously, but it's only for a seasonal event, so... I wasn't about to go completely overboard with it. I connected all of these pathways right here, and most of these flowers are actually bone mealed in. As you can see, there's a lot of yellow and red. I replaced a few of them because it was definitely too much. You could see that in the time lapse, and I put a few patches of blue and lilacs in here. So yeah, it's done, and I'm now gonna hide the Easter eggs in a few days. But I'm obviously not gonna show that, because otherwise people can just look where I hid them in the video. That doesn't make any sense. Now, with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. That's actually it for today's episode. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.